Divine revelation, 8 supernatural signs prophesied for the chosen ones. Manifested next 48H in the heart of a quaint English village. A wave of sacred mystery began to ripple through the hearts of its faithful. Grace, a devoted mother, had always been a beacon of light, nurturing belief with her radiant smile and unwavering faith. Every evening, she rallied her family at the altar, invoking the mighty protection of Saint Michael, their heavenly guardian. Together in prayer, she would say, "We become vessels of hope." But dark clouds gathered when her youngest daughter, sweet Sophie, fell gravely ill, her laughter silenced by baffling symptoms. Doctors scratched their heads, whispering words of concern. Doubt crept into the corners of Grace's heart, mingling with the fears whispered among the townsfolk. Yet in the depths of a restless night, a vivid, celestial vision unfolded. 8 extraordinary signs would soon grace her community, divine manifestations meant for believers with pure hearts. In disbelief, Grace nestled this revelation close, feeling the weight of her sacred purpose. On Sunday, with fervor igniting her spirit, she rushed to the church to share her revelation. 8 signs, my friends. 8. We must pray, she proclaimed, her voice trembling with conviction. Some nodded, hope sparking in their eyes, while others recoiled, paralyzed by fear. Tension swelled as time ticked inexorably, each passing moment a reminder of Sophie's struggle, leaving Grace feeling utterly alone. Then came a moment of extraordinary grace. During a hushed gathering of prayer, as candles flickered softly, a miraculous healing unfolded before them. A woman's burden lifted. Her pain vanished as whispers of awe surged through the congregation. "It is Saint Michael," they cried, tears glistening in their eyes. This was the first revelation of Grace's dream. Hope ignited like wildfire. Lives transformed. A deep sense of belief thrummed through the village, an electric connection to the divine. Yet, mysteries lingered just beneath the surface. Each sign was followed by questions. With every heartwarming transformation came an unsettling whisper, urging Grace to ponder. Were these signs truly divine or random coincidences? Just as the 4th sign began to rise, an unsettling mystery brushed against the fabric of their faith like a shadow in the night. Disquiet rippled through Grace's heart. The stakes of belief grew weighty. The essence of our faith, she pondered, is it being tested? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The hours dwindled, tension thick in the air. Grace's soul trembled with uncertainty. What would the ultimate revelation be? As they stood together, prayer woven in desperate unity, she grasped the familiar wooden cross, hoping for guidance. Would these signs bring divine clarity or engulf them in shadow? Each tick of the clock echoed in her heart a symphony of belief and doubt, leaving the village in suspense for the extraordinary truths waiting to unfold. The dawn broke, casting soft light across the village, the shadows of the night retreating slowly like a fading whisper. Grace awoke with the sun, her heart still heavy with the night's echoes. Each moment felt fraught, each tick of the clock a reminder that the signs she had spoken of were to reveal themselves soon. She wandered to Sophie's room, finding the child nestled under blankets, pale yet breathing softly, her presence both a comfort and a torment. "Today, sweet Sophie," Grace whispered fervently, her voice filled with a mother's love, "I pray that today is the day of miracles." She knelt beside the bed, her hands clasped tightly, heart lifted in fervent supplication. It was then that the air in the room began to shimmer as if charged with the energy of hope. As Grace stood to prepare for church, the village buzzed with anticipation. Conversations ebbed and flowed, weaving through nervous hearts. Some were convinced, clutching tightly to the warmth of Grace's spirit, while others remained skeptical. In the church, she felt the collective heartbeat of her community, an array of souls yearning for connection and miracles. "Let us gather," she called, her voice steady, each word ringing like a bell of faith. The crowd pulled closer, their faces illuminated by the flickering candlelight that danced along the walls, bringing warmth to the chilly morning air. They bowed their heads, united in prayer, voices rising like incense toward the heavens. "Guide us, Saint Michael, protect us and reveal your signs," Grace intoned, and the congregation joined her with fervor. Suddenly, a light burst through the stained glass windows, enveloping the altar in a kaleidoscope of color. A gasp rippled through the crowd, and Grace's heart raced. "What is this?" she murmured, her faith ignited as she felt the warmth of divine presence wash over them. It was the second sign, undeniable and beautiful. From among the crowd, a figure stepped forward. It was the village's old priest, Father Thomas, whose lined face bore witness to countless prayers. His usually quiet voice now thundered with authority. "Witness what your faith has brought forth, the light of divine love. This is just the beginning." As they looked around, all bloomed in every heart. Stories of barriers shattered, lingering illnesses lifted, and burdens eased filled the air like song. A fragility remained, but hope shone brighter, igniting hearts that had long been shrouded in fog. Grace felt it too, hesitation transformed into trust, shadows giving way to light. Yet deep inside her, a question stirred. Could such blessings come without a cost? Just then, a hush fell upon the gathering, a palpable tension in the air as a new figure emerged from the back, an unfamiliar woman with wild hair and sunken eyes, a figure wrapped in rags. She stumbled forward, drawn by a force unseen. "I am lost," she cried. "Can the signs heal my soul? I know not which path to take." The villagers shifted, concern knitting their brows together. Grace's heart pounded as she felt a tug of destiny. There lay a challenge veiled in the miraculous, a tug toward deeper faith or darker trials. "Come forward," Grace urged, stepping towards the woman, determination blooming in her heart. "Let's pray together. Let's find the light." But who would guide them through the darkness? And what trials awaited them as the signs unfolded, revealing both hope and tribulation? The air crackled with an unsettling sense of what lay ahead, each person on the brink of enlightenment or confusion. Grace felt it beyond the miracles was a deeper truth calling her. What awaited next was unknown, but the gravity of divine destiny loomed large. Would the people of the village embrace the blessings with the humility required to truly transform? The hour approached for another revelation, a leap of faith leading them onto the path of uncertain glory. The woman staggered into the flickering light, her presence casting an unsettling shadow over the congregation. Grace felt a pang of compassion mixed with fear. Here was a soul in dire need, a mirror perhaps to their own hidden struggles. The weight of uncertainty loomed, much like the thick clouds that sometimes churn before a storm. "Let us gather around her," Grace beckoned gently. Her voice, while steady, trembled with the urgency of the moment. One by one, villagers stepped forward, some with caution, others with unconditional love. As they encircled the woman, Grace felt the energy shift. "Pray with me," Grace called out, the chorus of voices rising like a holy tide. They poured their hearts out in one accord, prayers mingling with tears, each word a thread weaving deeper connection among them. In this sacred act, Grace felt the power of collective faith. Here, where fear met compassion, transformation began. The woman, cradled by their prayers, sank to her knees, her head bowed. "I feel so lost," she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. "If I follow, will I find my way?" Grace knelt beside her, sensing the struggle within. "Yes, dear heart," she replied softly. "You must believe that light can lead you through the darkest paths." She felt an urge to touch the woman's hand, a bridge of love in the midst of despair. Father Thomas stepped forward, the weight of age and wisdom upon him. In every challenge lies an opportunity for growth, he affirmed, his voice commanding yet tender. The Lord does not forsake those who seek him. With each sign, we are given a chance to realign our lives with his divine purpose. As the village prayed, a profound stillness enveloped them. The room felt thick with expectation, thick enough to cut with a knife. Suddenly, the light that had filled the church pulsed even brighter, illuminating the woman's face, revealing the lines of pain and longing etched deep within. Gasps erupted from the crowd, hope rising within those gathered. And then, a sound soft, harmonious, echoing from the corners of the church. Grace strained to listen as the melody intensified, filling every empty space. Voices ethereal and hauntingly beautiful swirled in the air like leaves dancing on a breeze. The congregation fell silent, drawn into the mystery of the moment. The woman lifted her head, her sunken eyes glinting with newfound light. "I hear them, the angels?" she whispered, a mixture of disbelief and wonder. "Open your heart," Grace encouraged, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Let their guidance lead you." In that moment, the air thickened with divine presence, and Grace thought she could feel the fingertips of the heavens brushing the edges of their souls. It was a connection beyond words, an invitation to embrace the unknown. As the woman began to sing a sound raw and pure, the villagers joined in, their voices weaving a tapestry of faith. But then, amid the euphoria, a tremor of doubt crept in. Would they all be ready for what came next? Just when the burdened hearts seemed to lift, shadows of concern flickered back. What trials lay in wait? Was this moment merely a prelude to deeper challenges? As the song swelled, Grace's spirit surged with conviction yet again. This moment was a gift, but it also demanded a choice. They had to be prepared. Miracles may shine their brightest in the darkest times, she reminded the crowd, her voice firm yet soft, the words a gentle call to readiness. The joy of the congregation enveloped them, but Grace felt a knot tighten within her. Those radiant signs illuminated the path ahead, yet they were hallmarked by the potential for trials ahead. She sensed it in her bones. The journey was not just about receiving miracles, but about being willing to walk where faith led them, even if the path was fraught with challenges. "Let us rejoice," Father Thomas proclaimed, lifting his arms to the heavens. "And let us prepare our hearts for the journey ahead." But what awaited them on this unfolding road of faith? Would they stand together in unity, ready to face whatever shadows dared to emerge? Grace looked around, her heart pounding with expectation and trepidation. Divine destiny was drawing near, and the time for revelations was at hand. What truths were waiting to be unveiled in the next hour? Would they stand firm when faced with trials that could shake their newfound faith? The edge of faith beckoned with both wonder and uncertainty. As the echoes of their joined voices faded into the stillness, an unseen tension hung in the air. Grace glanced around at the faces surrounding her, worn and weary from life's burdens, yet lit with a flicker of hope ignited by their communal song. The woman in the center seemed transformed, radiant in a way that stirred something deep within each heart present. Yet beneath the surface of this peaceful eruption, doubts swirled like dark clouds on the horizon. Grace felt it, an instinctual awareness that this moment of joy was a prelude to a tempest. Why did the path of faith so often twist through valleys of despair? Her heart ached as she pondered the secrets held by the divine. "Stay vigilant," she whispered, almost to herself. She sensed the angels now, their voices growing fainter yet still lingering. A quiet urgency nudged her onward. "We must be prepared for anything." Father Thomas, with solemnity in his voice, beckoned the attention of the villagers. "Brothers and sisters, the joy we feel is genuine, but we must not forget the trials that may come." His eyes swept through the crowd, searching for understanding. "We stand on the precipice of something greater, but always remember, faith grows strongest in trials. Grace nodded in agreement. Every trial is a stepping stone, every challenge a chance to rise. We are not alone. As she spoke, the air grew thick with an energy that was undeniably spiritual. A flicker of light danced along the edges of their hearts, igniting a fire of resolve. But the darkness would not yield so easily. A knock echoed from the church doors, the sound cutting through the moment like a dagger. The villagers looked toward the door, their eyes wide with uncertainty. A shadow loomed just outside, the features indistinct but the presence unmistakable. Grace felt her pulse quicken, her instinct urging caution. Was it a messenger of hope or a harbinger of trouble? "Shall I open it?" A voice trembled from the back of the crowd. "Yes, we must face whatever comes with hope," Father Thomas encouraged. The villagers formed a half-circle, eager yet fearful. With a hesitant push, the doors creaked open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness. But as the light from inside the church spilled out, the face of the stranger emerged a youth, pale and weary, yet eyes filled with something potent, a hint of both fear and determination. "Please," the youth gasped, "I have journeyed far, seeking refuge. There are stories to tell, signs to share." "What signs?" Grace stepped forward, her heart pounding with equal parts apprehension and curiosity. "The land is restless. Shadows, our rising angelic hosts, are in turmoil. In the next day and night, truths will unfold. Miracles may form, but trouble will test our faith." His words spilled out like water from a broken dam. The congregation shifted uneasily, murmurs striking the air. Grace felt chills dance upon her skin. Could this be the challenge the Father had spoken of? Could their joy still hold firm through the tempest brewing around them? Before she could respond, the youth continued, "Gather tonight at the old oak. There you will witness spiritual signs, promises unfolding. But beware, for the road ahead will not be easy. Doubt and fear will gnaw at your hearts. The gift of divine revelation is a test." A palpable tension filled the church as hope mingled with trepidation. Grace's heart raced. A test? Would each member of the congregation falter when confronted with unsettling truths? "Let us not forsake our faith," she rallied the villagers, bursting with an urgent fire. "We must gather strength from one another." With every eye drawn to her, Grace took a deep breath, knowing the challenge would shape them all. They had come together in joy. Now they must unite against the shadows looming ahead. As the youth turned away to lead the way, questions loomed larger than life. What signs would they witness at the oak? What revelations awaited? In that sacred moment, a collective breath held the air. The stage was set for a revelation, a convergence of faith and trials. And within Grace's heart, the divine stillness whispered what truth might arise from the darkness. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the village as Grace and the villagers made their way to the old oak tree. The air was thick with anticipation, each step echoing the collective heartbeat of the group. Grace felt the weight of their courage and fear intertwined, like vines creeping up the trunk of the ancient tree they sought. "Remember," Grace spoke softly, her voice steady, "we are not alone. Our faith binds us together. In unity, we will find strength." She glanced at Father Thomas, who walked beside her, the furrows on his brow deepening as they approached the meeting place. As they arrived, the oak stood like a sentinel, its branches swaying gently in the whispering wind. The tree had witnessed many seasons, many trials, and now it bore witness to the gathering of souls, drawn together by divine purpose. Flickering lanterns lit the ground around them, casting a warm glow in the encroaching darkness. The youth who had led them there took his place at the front, his face taut with urgency. "Stand close," he implored, his voice trembling as he looked into their eyes. "What I bring is not simply a message. It is the very essence of your faith being tested." The villagers formed a tight circle around him, the air electric with expectancy. Grace felt her spirit stirring, a palpable energy reaching out to envelop them all. The youth closed his eyes, hands raised to the night sky, and suddenly the atmosphere shifted. A light pulse throbbed around them, a divine heartbeat resonating through their very souls. "Behold," he cried, his voice like thunder, "the signs are upon us." At that moment, the stars above seemed to shimmer brighter. One by one, lights flickered into existence, dancing across the dark canvas overhead like divine breadcrumbs leading them further along their path. Grace realized with a gasp that they appeared to be forming shapes, patterns depicting stories of old, ancient prophecies interwoven with hope. Each star tells a story, the youth illuminated, his voice now steady, a story of faith overcoming trials, a sign for those who trust in the unseen. Gasps arose from the crowd as they pointed, the weight of doubt lifting, even if only temporarily. Each flicker stoked the fires of belief within them. But as wonder blossomed, a chill touched Grace's heart. The youth's face revealed a brewing storm within. "Look!" he shouted suddenly, his gaze fixed on a darker area of the sky. "But do you see that?" The villagers squinted into the night, spotting a swirling shadow that seemed to rise from the earth. Murmurs of fear rippled through them. "What is that?" Someone whispered. "This is no mere trick of nature," he warned, eyes wide. "This is a manifestation of your doubt. It will challenge you, and it will try your faith." Grace stepped forward, her heart pounding against the walls of fear threatening to seep in. "We must not falter. Each challenge is a stepping stone. We were called together, and together we will lift each other up." But the shadow darkened, twisting and writhing like a living being. It pulsed with an energy that sought to extinguish their newfound hope. And in that moment, a single bright star shot across the sky, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. "Together, we can overcome," shouted Father Thomas, holding out his arms. "Raise your voices. Sing your prayers. Let the light of your faith drown out the shadows." Grace felt the others encircle her, their hearts igniting once more with determination. And as their voices rose, a symphony of hope filled the air, wrapping around each of them like a protective mantle. But the shadow continued to rise, swirling tighter, as if gathering strength. Doubt and fear hung heavy near their hearts, as the youth's gaze turned troubled again. Tonight will shift, it is only the beginning. The true test lies ahead. With each note sung, they could feel the shift of energies, the pull between light and darkness, undecided yet taut with potential. What would tomorrow reveal? What divine intervention awaited? The deeper questions hovered, igniting the night with even greater fervor. Grace's heart thudded with resolve. Together, they would face whatever was to come, but would their faith hold firm when the dawn broke? With the last notes of their hymn echoing into the still night, a profound peace wrapped around the villagers, a blanket woven from their shared faith. Grace could feel the warmth of hands squeezing hers, voices vibrating with fervor, yet the shadow loomed above, a constant reminder of their trials ahead. "Keep singing," urged the youth, his voice steady now, a contrast to the tempest above. "Your faith is the light that will guide you. Do not let your hearts be troubled when shadows creep in." As their song soared higher, the winds began to swirl around them, a gentle caress at first, which quickly transformed into a mighty gale. The oak tree, ancient and steadfast, creaked and sighed, bending yet refusing to break. Roots deep in the earth seemed to pulse with life, reminding Grace of the strength that lay within their community. But still, the shadows surged on, swirling in a dance of defiance, echoing the fear that sat heavy in the hearts of the villagers. Would they be able to resist it? Grace closed her eyes, bathing in the warmth of their combined voices. In that moment, she felt the spirit of many generations flowing through her veins, a river of courage, a testament of faith that had endured centuries. "Look to the stars," shouted Father Thomas, suddenly sweeping his arm gracefully towards the night sky. Each one a reminder of promises fulfilled. Do not allow fear to drown out their glow. It was then that something unexpected occurred. The dark shadow began to tremble, as if caught in the rising chorus of hope. Hands that had clutched tightly in fear now opened wide to reach for the starlit beauty above. And as if affirming their unyielding resolve, the earth beneath them shook slightly, sending ripples through the ground. In that tremor, Grace felt the deep connection pulsating between all gathered. They were not just standing as individuals, but as a living tapestry woven together by their hopes, dreams, and unshakable faith. It was more than strength they had. This was a manifestation of divine unity, an echo of creation itself. Suddenly, one of the stars overhead burst into a brilliant cascade of light, scattering beams like silver threads across the night. Gasps filled the circle as the villagers shielded their eyes, but Grace felt a pull, a solemn call in the heart of it all. "The Creator is at work," the youth exclaimed, his voice weaving through the crowd like a warm breeze. "Do you see? Our prayers are being heard." As the light shower enveloped them, each villager found themselves swaying, caught between reverence and exhilaration. The swirling shadows wavered, dimming, shaken by the sheer force of their faith. Yet, the tension still clung to the air, silent as a conscience weighed down by sin. The fear of what they could still face loomed large like a storm cloud, threatening to unleash its fury. But Grace took a deep breath, filling her lungs with hope. "Our light will shine brighter," she declared, her spirit ignited. "Whatever darkness bears down upon us, it will see defeat. Together, we tread into the dawn." Father Thomas nodded, his eyes glistening with conviction. "Each breath we take counters the darkness. Speak forth, declare your faith, and watch how it transforms." As the villagers began to affirm their declarations aloud, Grace opened her heart, a river of gratitude cascading through her. With every uplifting word, the darkness over them waned further until finally, a clarity emerged, the air swelling with anticipation. Yet amidst the jubilation, Grace felt a tugging uncertainty deep within her. Though the immediate danger seemed to subside, she instinctively knew that this was only the beginning of something far greater. A shiver coursed through her, questions flitted through her mind like fireflies dancing on a summer evening. What was the true test ahead? What revelations would come forth when the dawn first broke anew? As the final song echoed into the night, the villagers stood united, their eyes fixed skyward, waiting. What awaited them with the first light? What signs would illuminate their path beyond? The shadows? The night was still, but Grace felt that the dawn was merely the prologue to an extraordinary tale yet to unfold. As the first rays of dawn began to peek over the horizon, the village, still cloaked in the remnants of night, transformed under a soft, rose-colored glow. Grace took a moment to drink in the scene. The oak tree, now silhouetted against the awakening sky, stood proud, its branches stretching as if to embrace the approaching light. It wasn't just a new day. It was the promise of possibility, a canvas ready to be painted with the brushstrokes of hope. The villagers began to stir, murmurs fluttering like the wings of 1,000 doves taking flight. Father Thomas, standing resolute, encouraged them with a gentle smile. "Let the light fill your hearts, dear friends. This is our moment, a moment of awakening." Grace felt the anticipation pulsing through the air, electrifying and vibrant. She glanced around at her fellow villagers, each face illuminated by a mix of awe and uncertainty. They were ready yet hesitant, standing on the threshold of something monumental, as if the dawn was not just breaking but revealing. With each minute, the sky shifted, shimmering with brilliant hues of gold and orange that spilled over the village, laying bare the beauty of creation. The light cascaded into every corner, revealing the truth beneath the shadows. Honest eyes met hers, filled with wonder and the weight of waiting. There was a clarity in the dawn, a promise wrapped in possibility. "Look," shouted a child, pointing skyward. "The stars are still shining, even in the daylight." True enough, as the villagers gazed up, they noticed the stars slowly fading, yet not entirely relinquishing their glow. They twinkled defiantly against the vastness of blue, whispering secrets known only to the heavens. Grace felt her heart swell at that sight, a reminder that hope doesn't vanish. It transforms, adapting like the tides of life. In that very moment, the winds began to stir once more, carrying with them a voice soft yet profound, intertwining with the pulse of the village. It was a sound that resonated deep within each listener, a call, an exhortation that blended with their faith. "What is that?" someone wondered aloud, eyes scanning the horizon. Father Thomas clasped his hands tighter before his heart, his expression shifting to solemnity. "Is the wind of change. God speaks through the elements, reminding us that we are not abandoned." The villagers stood still, and in that silence thick with expectancy, a silhouette began to appear in the distance, a figure draped in light, moving gracefully toward them. It was as if the dawn had taken form, clad in brilliance that dimmed the sunlight momentarily. Gasps rippled through the assembly, awe overtaking the initial astonishment. "Is it an angel?" whispered Grace, feeling a mix of fear and excitement intertwine within her. Could this be the divine encounter foretold by the elders? The figure halted, casting a glance that seemed to pierce the layers of the soul, stirring something deep within Grace's heart. A soft voice, like the rustling of leaves, filled the air, a proclamation that enveloped them. "Fear not, chosen ones, for the light has come to break the chains of despair. You're called forth to redefine your journey." With each word, the villagers felt emboldened, the weight of uncertainty lifting. The tremors of the night as storm still echoed faintly, but the promise of a new path beckoned. The figure gestured towards the ground before them, where the earth glistened with dew that now sparkled like diamonds in the dawn. "Gather your offerings," the voice instructed gently, "for it is through giving that you shall receive abundance beyond measure." Grace, with her heart racing, felt the tug of understanding pull her into a deeper realization. This was not just a test of faith, but an invitation to step into their purpose, to embrace the calling bestowed upon them. What treasures would they bring forth? And what miraculous gifts awaited in return? As the villagers began to stir and share their offerings of gratitude and hope, a flicker of anticipation ignited within Grace's chest. She sensed that the true adventure was only beginning, unfurling like the petals of a blooming flower stretching towards the sun. With hearts lifted and hands ready, they looked onward, eager to discover the divine secrets that the coming hours would reveal. The serene atmosphere of the village was suddenly charged with a palpable energy. Grace felt it swirling around her like a warm embrace, igniting her spirit with each breath. Father Thomas, standing tall, looked at the villagers with fervor. "Open your hearts wide. Be ready to give, for giving is the gateway to receiving." His voice echoed, intertwining with the breeze that danced around them. With newfound determination, the villagers began to move. Some knelt to gather offerings, fresh produce from their gardens, woven baskets, even hand-carved trinkets that held stories of generations. Each item seemed to pulse with love, a silent testament to their faith and commitment. Grace watched, her own heart racing, reflecting on what she might offer. What did she have that could be of value to the divine? Amidst the joyful gathering of gifts, Grace spotted a young girl, no more than 6, holding out a small flower, vibrant with color. "This is for you," she said proudly, her eyes bright with innocence. The way her tiny fingers clutched the bloom made Grace's heart swell. It was a simple gift, but sometimes the smallest offerings held the greatest depth. As more villagers began to lay forth their treasures, the air shimmered with anticipation. Whispers of awe spread like wildfire. "Will we truly receive what we need?" someone asked quietly, glancing nervously at the figure of light. "What if this turns out to be a test of our faith?" Another added, unsure of what awaited them. But their doubts were met with the presence of the figure, gently radiating encouragement. "Trust in what you give, for in your offering lies the miracle you seek. God delights in your selflessness." The voice wove through the crowd, reassuring them, urging them to push through their hesitations. Grace finally joined in, releasing her doubts like fluttering leaves caught in the wind. She stepped forward, hands trembling with an offering crafted from her heart. It was a simple stone, smooth and weathered, a piece from the river that sang to her. It held the essence of her struggles, of her prayers, and she felt compelled to give it away. In that sacred moment, the figure smiled gently, and the morning light gleamed brighter than ever. Behold the beauty of your contributions. Each gift, be it grand or small, is a thread woven into the tapestry of faith. As the villagers offered their hearts, the earth responded. Tiny flickers of light danced before them, sprinkling the ground with glimmers that sparked joy and hope. What was unfolding was profound, something that was beyond their understanding. Watch now. The skies shall speak, proclaimed the figure, raising its hands to the heavens. The clouds above began to swirl, morphing into shapes that danced across the sky. Suddenly, streaks of radiant light tore through the clouds, illuminating the sacred scene below. Gasps echoed around as the clouds began to form symbols, wings, hearts, and crooked signs of divine affirmation and promise. Grace felt her spirit lift with each revelation. It was as if God himself was affirming the unity present among them, breathing life into their collective faith. This is just the beginning, the figure declared. For what is yet to come will require all your trust. As the light enveloped them, Grace could hardly contain the joy bubbling within her. There was a connection deeper than words, a collective heartbeat echoing through the people. They were not just witnesses. They were participants in his glory. But as the energy pulsed stronger, a thought struck Grace. What was the true significance of their offerings? What awaited them in the winds of change? And as if to answer her silent inquiry, a ripple of silence fell over the crowd, leaving them yearning for deeper understanding. What would unfold in the next hours? Would their offerings pave the way for the miracles they prayed for? The air was thick with divine mystery, alive with the scent of transformation and the promise of the miraculous. The air hummed with anticipation as Grace stood among her fellow villagers. Each face reflected a mix of wonder and trepidation. She could feel the heartbeat of the crowd, as if they were all tied together with a single thread of faith. A warmth surged through her, sparking a desire to understand what this moment truly meant. Father Thomas stepped forward, his countenance illuminated by the ethereal light that bathed them. Beloved children, in our giving, we have opened a door. But beyond this threshold lies the road of discernment. We must now prepare our hearts to receive with gratitude. His voice soared like a hymn carried on the wind, and a flurry of hope swept through the villagers. As the figure in the light began to move, Grace's heart raced. The atmosphere thickened with the scent of wildflowers and a hint of rain. The overwhelming presence hung around them, and she felt a beckoning and invitation to lean deeper into her faith. She gazed upwards, her thoughts swirling, seeking a sign, a deeper insight into the unfolding mystery. Suddenly, the clouds shifted again, revealing a radiant burst of colors. Blues, purples, and golds swirled together like brush strokes on a divine canvas. The cries of awe rose from the villagers, mingling with their whispers of prayer and hope. It was more than a sight. It was a vision of promise. "Do you see?" the figure called, eyes sparkling with the joy of revelation. The sky is not merely a ceiling above you. It is a reflection of the divine possibilities that lie ahead. Each hue represents a life transformed, a prayer answered. Grace's heart fluttered as realization washed over her. The offerings they had made were intertwined with the color above them. They were not just gifts. They were seeds of change sprouting in the hearts of the villagers. A hush fell over the group as the figure continued. In the next 2 days, watch for the signs. They will manifest in your lives, and you shall know the depth of your faith in unexpected ways. Grace felt a stir of hope within her. What transformations awaited them? She pondered the potential. Would her own life shift in this sudden embrace of grace? A ripple of nervous excitement swept through the villagers. What will the signs be? Someone hesitantly asked. Each sign shall reveal itself uniquely to you. The figure replied, a smile gracing its features. Remain alert and open. You might find your miracle hidden in a smile, a moment of peace, or the whisper of a friend. Grace clasped her hands together, her chest filling with fervent hope. She exchanged glances with others, each one sharing the anticipation that sparked like electricity. In that shared stillness, a gust of wind spiraled around them, lifting the hairs on Grace's arms. It carried with it the sound of distant laughter, joyful laughter like bells ringing in the air. Was it the laughter of angels? Prepare yourselves for the unexpected. The figure encouraged, its presence calming yet powerful. For in faith, you may find the miraculous lying directly in the path you tread. Grace's spirit soared as she closed her eyes. She whispered a prayer for clarity, driven by a yearning to fully embrace the promises unfolding before her. Yet, as she did, a question bubbled up from deep within her heart. Could faith truly pave the way through the uncertainties they faced? And as if sensing her inquiry, the figure gazed back, shimmering with anticipation. The real question lies in your willingness to embrace the unknown. What revelations awaited them in this divine journey? Would they discover new pathways of faith, or face trials that would challenge their beliefs? As the light continued to dance above them, the air was thick with sacred mystery. The next steps loomed on the horizon, heavy with promise and uncertainty. The morning dawned radiant with hope, bathing the village in a soft golden light. Grace stood at her window, a cup of steaming tea in hand, heart swelling as she gazed at the scene outside. Villagers mingled in the streets, their smiles contagious and their spirits lifted by the revelations of the night before. Each face gleamed with the electricity of potential, newly awakened to the signs of divinity manifesting in their lives. Yet, even amidst this joy, fear whispered in Grace's heart. The youth's words echoed in her thoughts. The true test lies ahead. Would they be ready to embrace the forthcoming revelations? Would they withstand the shadows lurking in the corners of their souls? As Grace prepared for the day, she closed her eyes and lifted her hands in prayer. Lord, guide us through this mystery. Help us to embrace challenges with grace and steadfastness. The aroma of fresh bread filled the air, drawing her into the kitchen where her family gathered. Sophie, now brighter than before, held a piece of bread, playing with her food. Mama, will we see the miracles today? She asked, eyes wide with innocent wonder. Grace knelt beside her, feeling the warmth of her daughter's spirit. Yes, my sweet Sophie. Today is a day of miracles. We just need to be open to seeing them. With a shared breakfast that brimmed with laughter and joy, Grace felt the flicker of hope blossom in her heart. They planned to return to the oak, to witness further signs and share in the spirit of their community. As the sun climbed higher, casting playful shadows, the villagers gathered beneath the old oak tree once more. The atmosphere was electric, not just with anticipation, but with the echo of prayers lingering in the air, ripe for a new proclamation. Father Thomas stepped forward, eyes gleaming. Beloved, today we celebrate the transformation of our lives through faith. Let us declare our collective commitment to walk this path together. With that affirmation, the crowd began to murmur amongst themselves, reconciling their fears with the resonance ignited by faith. Grace found her voice rising amongst the murmurs, encouraging others to speak. They shared stories of personal transformations and divine confirmations that had surfaced within the last 24 hours. Each testimony reinforced their bonds. Every word was a stitch woven into a larger tapestry of belief. Yesterday, after we sang, "My daughter was healed," one woman exclaimed, joy bursting from her lips. We felt it, as if a weight lifted from our home. That's it, Grace called, feeling a fire ignite beneath her feet. Every small miracle, every whispered affirmation, brings us closer to His divine purpose. And then it happened. A whisper of wind swept through the crowd, cooling the warmth of the sun on their shoulders. The shadows above shifted, forming once again into ethereal shapes. Gasps broke the air as the villagers pointed upward, eyes wide. "Look!" shouted Child. "Wings!" Sure enough, the cloud seemed to morph into shimmering wings, spreading wide and inviting. With the sight came understanding. These wings symbolized protection and affirmation, reminders that they were not alone in this journey. "The heavens declare His glory," Father Thomas proclaimed, raising his arms high. "Even as shadows dance, we are in the embrace of heaven's light." And within that moment, amidst the overwhelming rush of awe, the first sign spoke to Grace directly. "Believe and give light to what you see," whispered a voice within. "Do not ignore the uncertainties, but embrace them as a path to more profound understanding. You are being tested to bring forth a greater harvest." Tears streamed down Grace's cheeks, the warmth of recognition blooming in her heart like a rose kissed by the sun. It was an invitation not just to endure, but to thrive, a call to confront the fears that threatened to rise even in the presence of miracles. Emboldened, Grace turned toward her community, invigorated by the divine reassurance. "Together, we shall nurture this transformation. Together, we shall be the light." The villagers erupted in applause, laughter mingling with tears, hearts overflowing with a mix of gratitude, faith, and unity. But in the back of Grace's mind, a deeper question lingered: what trials awaited them, and how would they stand when the winds began to howl? As if answering her unspoken thoughts, the shadow once again danced on the horizon, a reminder that life's journey carries both light and darkness. Yet, in the midst of this holy assembly, Grace felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. "When doubt arises," she started, voice filled with conviction, "we will remember this moment. We will uplift each other in faith, allowing love and support to guide our way." The crowd hushed, feeling the power of her words. The sun glimmered brighter, illuminating the path that lay ahead. "Now is the moment to embrace courage." Grace continued, "We are the chosen ones, commissioned to withstand trials and share the light. Let each sign guide us, for we enter this journey not as individuals, but as a united force of faith." And as the villagers took her words to heart, they joined together in a hymn of praise, lifting their voices once more. It filled the air, bouncing off the oak tree that had witnessed countless seasons. And as their collective spirits soared, each pulse of song ignited a flame of belief that would ward off the looming shadows. So it was in that sacred moment, amidst the manifested signs and resonating hope, that the village embraced the unknown together. All hearts opened wide, ready to navigate the turbulent paths ahead, confident in the divine promise that awaited them, tethered by unwavering faith and love. Now, you need to act. Subscribe immediately to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It makes a huge difference. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Let us spread the light together, for only true servants of God understand the importance of these actions. Don't wait even one more second. Show your support now.